It's starting to screen here now. You're live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting, public meeting for November 29th, 2022. Council, nothing outside the kit, but you see before you on your Surface Pros, you see the agenda. And I'd like to accept, please, a motion to adopt that agenda, moved by Deputy Mayor Kiley and seconded, thank you, by Councillor Antle. All in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? And that motion is carried. So we'll begin our meeting with our lands acknowledgement. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Biotech, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land together as we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Now, turning forward in the agenda, you see council, the meeting of November 15th, 2022. Good job on the minutes as always. That would be to our city clerk as well as our executive assistant. Council, looking for errors or omissions first before we adopt them. Hearing none, I'll call for a motion, please. Moved by Councillor Lane and seconded by Councillor Locke. Apologies. All in favor? Well, those opposed, that motion's carried as well. Any items that you'd like to bring up as business arising, please do so now, Council, forever. Hold your peace. Long minutes. Well, I'm hearing no call to the chair. Before we begin the Planning, Engineering, Development Committee report, I want to just state that Councillor Rice sends his regrets. He couldn't be here today, along with Director Antle, and I'd like to welcome Matthew Jones, our Manager of Facilities Maintenance, to the meeting tonight. Welcome, Matthew. Be prepared for all kinds of questions as the meeting prepares to as we move along in the meeting. So, Planning, Engineering, Development, Councillor Fry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. First on our agenda this evening is Summit Pool Water Chemistry Controllers. It was determined that the Summit Pool Water Chemistry Controllers required replacement to permit more effective and efficient monitoring of the pool water balance in its control systems. Pool Water Chemistry Controllers specifications were established to suit the needs of this facility and tendered. So the Planning, Engineering and Development Committee brings this item forward for ratification of council approval with the recommendation that the contract for the supply and delivery of pool water chemistry controllers be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, which is Water and Ice North America, for the total of $79,751.52, HST included, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Any questions? Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question here now, because I don't have a memory of these such a request coming through before. Is this the first time we've replaced these, and what would be a regular maintenance for these chemical controllers or chemistry controllers? Sorry.
And I'm going to call upon Mr. Jones, please.
Yes, this is the first time they've been replaced. The originals came with the facility, and these are more advanced controllers to allow us to remote monitor them with better higher yielding sensors to allow us to better control the chemistry and stop the highs and lows as much to cause issues with the pool.
So I know in the past, if, for example, on the weekend, we had a problem with the chemistry balance, we'd have to call in staff perhaps, but these may allow us to assess and adjust remotely. Is that the advantage of these?
Correct. So instead of waiting for time for people to travel to site, they can adjust them remotely from their phone.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Further thoughts, questions? Hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor? And contraminded? Carried.
Okay, next, we have our emergency lighting generator. In December of 2020, the Summit Center's uninterrupted power supply failed and was deemed unrepairable. I think everybody remembers that when the Summit Center was down for a period of time. It was determined that a new emergency lighting power source would be required to keep the facility open. So the committee was advised that our electrical service contractor, Pro Circuit Electrical, was asked to source no less than 3 quotations of the generator unit, as well as a quotation for all electrical equipment, materials, and labor for the installation of the unit. In accordance with our electrical service contract, Pro Circuit Electrical provided a quotation as requested for the supply and installation of the generator unit as a total cost of $129,916.56, HST included. Now, lead time for the generator unit is expected to be 50 or 60 weeks, so it's going to be about a year before we get that. And therefore, the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee recommends awarding the contract to supply and install a new generator unit at the Summit Center to Pro Circuit Electrical via the electrical service contract for the total sum of $129,916.56, HST included, and I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Fry and seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Any comments? Councillor Randall.
Just a quick note, mostly it's just for our residents. If this happened in 2020, why did we order one in 2020? Why did we wait till 2022?
Mr. Jones, please.
There was some time during COVID, we were delayed getting the engineering work done on the generator unit. And that delayed the process. And then we've just been able to move this forward and get quotations.
And in the interim, I believe we used a portable.
Yes, in the interim, we've been availing of a portable unit.
Any further questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
And contrary-minded, motion carried.
Next, we have our building and occupancy permit listing for the period of November the 14th to the 25th. So the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee recommends that the building permits issued for this period, showing a total construction value of $449,950, be approved, and further that the occupancy permit list be accepted as presented. And as always, you can see the detailed list of them here in the kit. And I so move.
Councillor Fry has moved the building permits and occupancy permits, and it has been seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Questions? All in favor? Counter-minded? Carried. Thank you.
Next, we have our development permit listing for the period of November the 14th to the 25th. So the Planning, Engineering, and Development Committee provides the following development permits for the information of council. So we have French's Automotive Repair for interior renovations to existing building, and Kongsberg Maritime Canada for a subdivision of land. And I believe that's just for information.
Development permits require a motion.
Okay, well then I so move.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Fry and again seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Carried.
Okay, now for information. Our facilities management update. We've had an installation of a new perimeter-based parking lot lighting, and that's ongoing at the Summit Center, Reed Center, Library, and Glacier. And that's been ongoing for a while now, and we're excited to see that finally come into fruition.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting one. In early November, the city celebrated 2 years of continuously heating both Summit Center pools solely through availing of recovered energy from the Glacier EcoChill system. And this results in annual savings of approximately $65,000. Now, to put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of approximately 40 homes. So when the council of the day invested in the technology at the time, we're now seeing the end result of the savings accordingly. So that's really exciting news. 2 years of not using any heat to heat the pools. It's awesome. Thank
It
you.
is a great story.
Can I just?
Yes, please, Councillor.
It is indeed a great story. And yeah, we highlight the financial gains here, but it's also the environmental gains. And I was just having a chat with some of our employees who received their long service awards before our meeting tonight about the climate initiatives that the city has undertaken here. And oftentimes we don't blow our own horn. We don't highlight, but we do a lot of the initiatives that we take now. We have a green lens here at the city.
Mhm.
So I'm delighted with this because I'm pleased to say that that I and the mayor were a part of this decision-making process when this eco-chill came before the council table, and it was a tough sell because there was an additional expenditure of capital upfront. But the council today, and kudos to them, recognized both the environmental impact, the environmental savings, and here are the financial savings. And I'd also, Mayor, like to take the time to acknowledge Mr. Matthew, who's with us here tonight, because I know he had a critical role in playing in this to get peak efficiency. So I tip my hat to you as well, sir. A job well done. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Antle, please.
Just to follow up to that, Councillor Locke, it's kudos for the previous council to come up with this, but it's $65,000. How much extra did it cost? I mean, this is amazing. I mean, in 10 years, we could save $650,000. I mean, it's great outside of the climate change initiatives, but this is fabulous to save this amount of money.
I forget the exact dollar amount. I'm sure we could dig into that, but it wasn't inexpensive, but right.
There was a payback, but yeah, off the top, I can't recall.
I
But
don't
we
remember
knew
the
by
exact-
investing, we would be great from an environmental footprint point of view, but also we knew in the long run, we'd have financial savings. Some of the heat too, that's excessive coming from the summit and or the glacier gets stored in the wells. I believe they're in the parking lot area in front of the summit. And that storage also helps us to regulate the heat and keep basically the financial cost down as much as possible. All right, we're going to move on. Thank you, Councillor Fry and Deputy Mayor. We're going to go to the Recreation and Community Safety Committee
Not
report.
quite yet, your worship.
One more thing?
Yeah. And I
Capital
also.
Project, sorry.
Yeah, and I also want to take the opportunity to echo Councillor Locke's sentiments to Matthew Jones, because it was his initiative that brought this to fruition in terms of optimizing it. So I also want to say thank you. As the co-chair of the committee, I'm very proud.
Hard to keep up with the Joneses.
So finally, on our committee report for this evening is a capital projects update. And this is just to let you know that the pedestrian underpass repairs on Old Placentia Road are approximately 50% completed. And the expected completion date of is January 6th, pending weather. So we'll be glad to see that completed and both lanes reopened. And that's it for us this evening, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Recreation, Community Safety, Councillor Antle.
Worship, I'll take the first three, then I'll pass it on to Councillor Lane. The first one is for the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl, their operating grant for 2022-23. The committee reviewed the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl's 2021 to 2022 activities, financial report and financial statement, and recommends releasing their 2022 operating grant in the amount of $10,000 based on the current MOU with the city and future activity plans for the association. It's great to see us that we're supporting the activity of this association. They do great work for the city. And I don't need to move that, right? That's
Yes,
just,
you do.
and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Antle. Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Lane. Questions? This is a good investment, a very small but important investment in our city. All in favor? Those opposed? And that is carried. Thank you.
Number two, it's going to cost us some money. I'm sorry. On October 11, 2022, we are the awarded vendor, Bill Rock Industries, were the lowest builder, Rockwater, supplying the city of Mount Pearl with 205-liter chlorine for the treatment of our pool water. Advised they were no longer able to continue to supply this product for the tender price of January 2020. The new chlorine price quoted by Billerrock for 205-liter units is $280.85 per unit, an increase of $182.45 a unit, which will have a total increase of $9,348. The committee recommends the city accept the price increase from Billerrock and amend the existing contract to reflect the same. This has to do with the cost of business and, things are going up, and we have to move forward with this. And I so move.
Again, thank you. Moved by Councillor Antle and seconded by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Motion carried.
And number three,
I'm going to declare conflict of interest with number three. That's this happens to be pertaining to a relative of mine. So I'm going to dismiss myself and I'll see you in a minute.
And thank you, Your Worship. I will, I'll proceed with Councillor Antle with his report on this one.
And number three, the committee recommends that the city continue with the services of Kimberly Sinnott Bookkeeping and enter into a new 3-year contract to provide bookkeeping services for the Seniors Independence Group, Appleby House Museum, and the Park Place Community Centre for 3 years, starting on November 1st, 2022, and concluding on October 31st, 2025. Keeping in mind that the Park Place bookkeeping services could be null and void once the new community centre opens. And I so move.
Moved by Counselor Antle and seconded by Counselor Lane. All in favor, say aye. And so also moved.
And now I'll pass it over to my colleague, Counselor Lane.
Thank you very much. So the fourth item on our agenda is the snow clearing regulations and winter parking ban. So it's that time of year again, the city streets and city-owned land on December 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. So as a reminder to the public, the snow clearing regulations will come into effect starting December 1st through to March 31st, 2023. An unattended vehicle is not permitted to be parked on any street or city-owned land within the city between the hours of 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. For further information, find amount, visit the city website. So obviously everyone can see that the weather is starting to pick up out there. Snow will be coming. It is very important that we abide by these regulations. Nobody wants to get a ticket this winter. So make sure you park in your driveway.
But the good news is, I think Santa Claus is coming to town.
Absolutely. The fifth item on our agenda is Breakfast with Santa, which is happening December 18th, 2022. So join us for Breakfast with Santa, taking place at the Reed Center on Sunday, December 18th from 9 to 11 a.m. Tickets will be $5 each. Children under 2 are free with no meal or seat. Tickets will go on sale through Eventbrite starting Wednesday, December 7th. And this is an event that is always very well attended and often sells out. So I remind residents that if they were interested in going to see the big guy with their children, to make sure that they log on Wednesday and get their tickets, because they will absolutely sell out. And it's just the one event. So I know Serena will be very excited to see Santa, or maybe she'll cry, but I guess we'll find out.
Counselor, I'm going to be so excited to see Santa too.
Baby Max may or may not be in attendance. And that's it for our report. Thank you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Corporate Services and Public Works, Counselor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take the first three and then turn it over to Deputy Mayor Kiley. The first for our committee here, the invoices for approval. You can see here that we have 19 in total. And the total value of these is $987,541.83. And just to note here that you can you see some notable invoices that I'll mention here. There are 2 there from Canadian AV invoices, $5,517.91 and $11,496.40. And these are both for Oktoberfest and our City Days events, which were hugely successful. So I know our residents certainly appreciated the events there. As well, you'll see a number of legal invoices that are outlined there, and they are relating to the ongoing appeals and the collective bargaining support noted. They're also noted there for approval. As well, you'll see the Idea Factory in the amount of $35,070, and this is for a cultural attraction video. And this was shot during our City Days, and also during I think they may have taken some footage as well, Mayor, during the Oktoberfest.
Yes.
And it's funded 70% by ACOA, so we're delighted for that, under the Revitalize Main Street funding program. And we are so excited to share this with all of us and our residents once it becomes available. So really looking forward to that. And the last one that I would like to mention is for Thomas Cooper in the amount of $13,656.25. And this is in relation to the new strategic plan that the city is in the process of developing. And we've been working hard on that, a little delayed, but we do have some great initiatives moving forward. And we're all excited that we'll jump on that again in the new year. So our residents and public can look forward to hearing some of our ideas again early in 2023. So again, the total for these invoices, $987,541.83. And I move that the amount be accepted as presented.
Moved by Councillor Locke and seconded by Deputy Mayor Kiley. Any questions further to that, council? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried.
Thank you, Mayor. Next for us is our payment register. And this covers the time frame from November 9th to November 23rd of 2022. And the total here is $305,187.98. And this is here for information. And if anybody has any questions, we can certainly provide an answer, please.
Councillor Fry.
This is just to try and get an understanding here for me. I noticed that there's one amount, invoice number 6 above previously for construction signs of $7,107.86. And that's for 369 traffic cones. And I also noticed that the same expense for the same company is listed on the P card report for, or the invoice report for Dwayne Peddle Construction Signs Limited, $7,107.86. Just wondering if that's a duplicate?
Director Pittman.
Yeah, no problem. So my understanding is it's not a duplicate, but it was in invoices for council approval because it exceeded the threshold. But due to the urgency required for the signs, they were purchased in advance of the public council meeting. So that's why you see it in 2 places. So it's essentially a ratification.
But doesn't everything on the invoice register eventually hit the payment register?
It does, but it was on the P card report.
I'm hearing you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, as long as it's not a duplicate. I was
Absolutely.
just curious. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah. Further? Hearing none, we're going to continue with the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The next item for us is a notice of motion regarding council remuneration and reimbursement regulations. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, I will, at a regular meeting of council, move to amend the text of the city's council remuneration and reimbursement regulations that, if enacted, will, 1, add at the end of subsection 2.4, quote, and includes maternity and parental leave, close quote. Number 2, add an additional subsection under section 2. Quote, 2.8, maternity and parental leave means a leave of absence automatically approved by council upon notice from the requesting counselor, which can begin following 6 months of pregnancy, where the counselor is the pregnant individual, or at the birth or the adoption of a child or children. A, to a maximum of 61 weeks total, inclusive of the permitted less than 3-month absence allowed for under the City of Mount Pearl Act. B, where such notice is given as soon as possible prior to the commencement of the leave and outside of an emergency, no less than 2 weeks prior to the commencement of the leave. And C, where such notice is accompanied by a certificate from a medical practitioner or nurse practitioner stating the estimated birth date. Number 3, throughout the council remuneration and reimbursement regulations, make any secondary grammatical edits required to effectively incorporate the changes described under 1 and 2 above. Number 4, throughout the council remuneration and reimbursement regulations, make any other correction, formatting, required edits that may be identified, i.e. typos, and which do not alter any intent of the current council remuneration and reimbursement regulations. The purpose of this amendment is to ensure that the City of Mount Pearl supports accessibility, diversity, and the inclusion and dignity of all people. The amendment will also remove the need to obtain the discretionary approval of council prior to taking maternity or parental leave, which approval would present a gap to full inclusivity, diversity, and inclusion. And this is dated today, November 29th, 2022.
And is it your intention to bring this motion in 2 weeks' time?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that is it for my section of the report, Mayor. I'll now turn it over to my colleague, Deputy Mayor Kiley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment on my fellow colleagues' motion just put in.
Notice.
Notice, sorry. If that's okay.
Well, normally we bait the motion when the motion comes on the table. So
Okay,
by regulation, we're providing that notice. There will be opportunity.
okay, perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
We'll be thoughtful when it comes in.
Yeah, that's why I was worrying about the 2 weeks. Is that going to be the next meeting or, a little bit further down the road? But I think the committee, including you, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Locke and Director Pittman and others have done a fine job pulling all this together and we shall wait for the moment. That's my
Perfect.
recommendation.
Thank you. Well, that leads us to number 4 on our agenda, which is, as you see in your kits, it is that time of year where we're seeing the close of 2022 and looking forward to the next year. And that means scheduling and the logistics of our public council meetings and committee meetings. So as per the kit and the times in which we're noticed there, I would like to put forward the calendar for this up and coming year of 2023 for public and committee of the whole meetings. And if there's no comments and questions, I so move.
Thank you. Moved by Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Locke. Any questions, Council? Pretty routine, but we must table it for as a requirement of our act. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just moving back into my items here. Okay. That leaves us to our 5th agenda item, which is the tender for snow clearing services, TP 22032. As our residents know, snow clearing is Mount Pearl is second to none in our region and something we take great pride in and is certainly one of our key necessity services. We have a great level of service for our residents, and we really truly work hard to maintain that level of service, ensuring its sustainability in short and long term. And this is something that's at the top of mind right now as we are closing into colder weather, and we've already seen snow on the ground. As a city, we conduct business continuity planning and ensuring we have a contingency plan for the place of essential services, such as snow clearing and events. And it's fair to say over the past couple of years, we've had some unprecedented challenges. And that includes the climate in which we are living in currently, where we are seeing more and more and more extreme weather, adverse weather conditions. It is not hard to look out your window, looking at Snowmageddon, looking at what has happened and continues to happen in all seasons of this province, that we are getting more extreme, difficult, dangerous weather. Additionally, we have gone through a pandemic, COVID-19, and the impacts are beyond the environmental, but on our people. And this is a time in which we have had a pandemic and looking at continually, what do we do when our people are sick, when we are needing to socially isolate, when we are needing to keep safe. And I'm just wanting to always thank and be grateful for the amount of work, coordination, and members who put themselves through a very difficult time and a very stretched times, overtimes and the such. Then we look at responding to staff in amongst these very difficult, demanding issues on who seek additional work-life balance to opt out of overtime. This is a time we know that strain, mental health, and work-life balance has become more of a priority over these years, and as it should be. So throughout our collective bargaining, we've communicated publicly the need for less reliance on overtime to support work-life balance, to deliver essential services of snow clearing, but at the same time be real to really look at what climate change, adverse weather, and potential staff shortages during things like pandemics mean. So for the first time in our city's history, we're doing things a little different. We're opting for an issue of tender for snow clearing services. While this has been done in all sorts of municipalities, it is designed today to support our existing services and mitigate against the risk of decreased service levels caused by any of the concerns I've just mentioned. So this is us creating a safety net
to ensuring our services are at its utmost, but also being reflective of the realities in which we are living in currently. And that said, the Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends awarding the TP 22032 tender for snow clearing services to the lowest qualified bidder. That would be Farrell's Excavating Limited for the bid amount of $531,875, HST included per year. And I so move.
Moved by the deputy mayor, and thank you, seconded by Councillor Loughlin. Ask the director of Public Works, Mr. Delamont. This amounts to a contingency, not quite an insurance policy, that being accurate, but it's a contingency to ensure continuity throughout our services. Any thoughts from an operational perspective, sir?
Yeah, so as Deputy Mayor Coyle noted, this is the first time that the city of Mount Pearl have went this route. Operationally, the plan is that, prior to the start of the tender, we'd meet with the contractor to review all our level of service documentation and what the expectation is from the city, and review our very specific routes. So, there is going to be some learning curve here for sure, but based on where we've been to in the past number of years, I think that it is a very important part for a contingency plan in the event, we require extra equipment for our snow clearing.
Council, any questions? Anybody else? Councillor Locke, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Director. Sorry.
I support the recommended action here. This is not new. I mean, other jurisdictions in the province use a similar approach. And I was at the Snow and Ice Conference a couple of years back, dealing with infrastructure and public works right across North America. And speaking with some folks in the snow clearing business as well there, this also is a common practice. And in the event of, like Deputy Mayor highlighted, it was a real concern during COVID that had COVID spread through, our snow clearing staff, that impacted the delivery of service and health and safety within our city. So I think this is a prudent approach to ensure that we can continue with the, as Deputy Mayor said, the flagship level of service that the city of Mount Pearl is known for. It's not intended to decrease the level of service. But Director, I'm just wondering if you can comment on, while the bid amount here is $531,875, including HST, we're not going to spend all that necessarily, correct? I'm just wondering if you could speak to that for clarity for the purpose of our residents.
Yeah, so when we created this tender, we had to have some number for all vendors to get an idea of the expectation, I guess, from the city. So based on our yearly average that we use our existing equipment, we added that number to the tender to give, again, everyone an equal opportunity to bid it on a fair playing field. So again, this number is based on an average of our total hours. So again, if Mother Nature is mild, we use less than this if required. But again, it is based on our average hours that we've used our existing equipment.
All right, thank you for the clarity. I just wanted to, and you did exactly what I was hoping, that this is not a given expenditure. This is a contingency that if we need to use it, if circumstances arise, or there's another massive snowstorm where our crews are unable to handle the demand or the amount of snow or the time, or if, heaven forbid, COVID or some other variant comes through, that this is there to ensure that we can deliver the services that provide the health and safety aspect that our residents are used to. So I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
Further comments, Councillor Fry, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just here looking at this, and while I support it, I just want to, Mount Pearl is known for having the best snow clearing services around, and that's something we take a lot of pride in. So this is not to take away from our current employees. This is as a supplement, is it, to cut back on overtime?
Well, in its wholity, it's a contingency plan, whether that be for, I'll use the phrase again, another snowmageddon, or, an issue with staff via COVID or response to overtime. In order for the city to maintain the expectations and the level of service, this is, I guess, a bit of an insurance policy that we keep to that level of service.
I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Thank you. Motion carries.
Apologies, folks. I just had to unfreeze or have just keep up with the technology here. So that leaves us to number 6 on our status report, which is the Public Works updates. The committee reviewed the following status reports and was distributed prior to the meeting, and I'm happy to share them with you today. So work is underway for the Christmas parade float, Christmas lighting for the City Hall and St. David's Park. So all of the wonderful events we're going to see and all of the infrastructure behind it is up and going. Urban forestry plan is, of course, on phase number 1 as well, and tree shrub planting continues. We have 71 of the 81 trees that have been planted. The remaining trees, so that 10, all shrubs will be planted early spring of 2023. So Team Guju Ice Rink is also completed and ready for use, and the liners for the other 2 rinks were received on November 22nd, and they're going to be installed very soon. We've got asphalt, curb, sidewalk, and catch basin repairs that have been completed for 2022. The summer season and unanticipated emergency repairs that may arise throughout the winter season will also be addressed, of course. And the snow markers are being put in place for identified areas of high risk for winter curb and lawn damage. So you've probably already seen them stuck up on certain cul-de-sacs and areas of your neighborhood. Also, individual prepaid bulk garbage collections are ongoing. So if you needed to do that to make some extra room during Christmas, then this would be the time. We also have winter equipment maintenance and preparation work ongoing. And recruitment is underway for hiring heavy equipment operators, and interviews or testing are taking place as we speak. Of course, leak detection continues to be ongoing, and the water levels are noted below as usual, and they seem, from what I would say, Director Dallimon, pretty on par for this time of year. Okay, great. I got a thumbs up. So maybe a little bit. Fair enough. And that leads us to the end of our report, and also the end of our committee report.
Thank you, everybody. The formal agenda is over with the exception of the roundtable. I'm going to start tonight with Councillor Fry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be quick tonight. I just want to offer congratulations to the Mount Pearl Soccer Association on their 50th anniversary. I know we were delighted to take part in their celebrations there, and their awards and their lifetime achievement. And I want to say congratulations to all involved, because 50 years, that's a lot of giving, and a lot of youth participate in our soccer. It was a wonderful program.
Yeah.
And speaking of giving, today is known as Giving Tuesday. And it's the world's largest generosity movement. And people are encouraged to give today, whether it's buying somebody a coffee, or act of kindness, or donating to a charity, or just a kind word. So I'd like to think that every Tuesday is Giving Tuesday, but I just wanted to bring that forward. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. In light of the comment about the Mount Pearl Minor Soccer, I would like to send out condolences to Herb Jenkins' family, who was a long time volunteer with the Soccer Association. Any person my vintage growing up in Mount Pearl certainly would have encountered Mr. Jenkins at the field, and he just such a beautiful human being. And again, I was at the wake, and I just wanted to publicly acknowledge the wonderful contribution and impact that Herb had on our community.
Yeah.
And to send out heartfelt condolences to Herb's family. I made reference to it earlier, Mayor. I just want to say, acknowledge that prior to our meeting today, it was a pleasure of recognizing several of our employees for their years of service with the city of Mount Pearl. And I was kind of shocked to hear the data that CEO Spurl mentioned in her remarks about in the public sector. I don't remember the numbers, I didn't memorize the numbers, CEO, but it was, between 5 to 7 years, either in the public sector or private sector, that people stayed in the one job and left their jobs. But, we have some long-standing employees here. There were 24 employees in total that were recognized, that range from 5 years to 30 years of service with the city of Mount Pearl, which is just incredible. So I'm just looking here. We had 4 employees in their 5th year of service, 12 in their 10th year of service, 1 with 15 years of service, 5 employees with 20 years of service, 1 employee with 25 years of service, and 1 employee with 30 years of service. And I think Director Dolimont, in which category did you fall? Was it 25 years of service?
Almost.
25.
25, a quarter of a century. Mr. Dolimont has dedicated service to the residents of Mount Pearl. I just want to extend a sincere thank you, to all of our valued employees, for the work they do day in and day out. And again, I was saying to some of the workers in the little reception we had afterwards, prior to our council meeting, that as a resident, I have no idea of the work that our staff around the city do day in and day out. But we're a $55 to $60 million operation here. We got 250 plus employees. We got an amazing senior management and all workers throughout the city that make this place run tickety-boo, and Councillor Fry mentioned that we're known for our snow clearing, but we're leaders on so many fronts, be it environmental, being, pilot projects with infrastructure and public works, with the program through our parks and recreation, corporate services through our marketing, all the awards that we're winning with marketing. And so we do a lot of good work here. And I know the mayor has mentioned this many times that, oftentimes the accolades are directed towards the 7 members at this end of the meeting, city council. But we all fully know that the true accolades and sincere thanks goes to the employees that are committed to making the city of Mount Pearl such a wonderful place to call home, where we have high levels of services, beautiful community spirit. So again, it was a pleasure to be here to acknowledge all the recipients of the rewards. And again, I just want to, I know on behalf of all my colleagues, extend a sincere thanks and congratulations. And that's it from me, Your Worship. I thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Locke. And I did say in my comments to many of the people who are still in this room and also to the employees that attended, you have our support. When it comes to workplace issues, we will support you. And you can always look up the CAO at any point in time or come to a member of council. We are here to work together as a team to support each other. And on that basis, we give out those awards with great pride. And thank you for our employees for their energy and their commitment. Back to you, sir.
An oversight. I didn't want to forget Director Collins as well, because I think he got 10 years.
Oh,
this
yes,
year.
he did. Yes.
So I didn't want, I hope that wasn't intentional, Jason, because I've had the pleasure, of the interview process when Jason came on. And I remember there was some egg jokes going around when you first got hired, based on Jason's past experience. But you've just been such a wonderful addition to the city. You've taken our recreation programs and I know you've been, a shuffle of some planning and other things have come on your table, and you've always risen to the occasion. So we have been blessed to have you for 10 years and blessed to have Glenn for 25 and blessed to have the other 22 people that had 5 or more years with the city. So I didn't want to offend you and leave you out, because please know how much you're appreciated as well. Thank you, Mayor.
All good. Thank you very much. Going to you now, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I can't agree enough with the passionate and wonderful sentiments of my colleague, Councillor Locke, in relation to this incredible team that I love to talk about, to support, and learn more about. And certainly we are developing not only an incredible team, but a history of greatness. And it's just wonderful to be a part of this as someone incredibly new, considering the years of service and the years of experience that we have around this table. So here to that. I wanted to just highlight some holiday related kind of activities and events that are happening in our area that have a lot to do with just supports. As much as the holidays can be an incredibly beautiful, wonderful, supportive time and a great place to meet family and friends, and it can be very heartwarming, it can also be sometimes a difficult time. And I wanted to thank the Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber of Commerce for inviting a guest speaker at their most recent luncheon to talk about supporting your businesses and employers during a time where the holidays can be difficult. And I think I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Am I? Is it me? Maybe it's my
Oh,
laptop.
you need your mic on to speak, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's my mic, but if there's any others that might be on, it just may
Take
be
it away.
helpful.
Is this better? Maybe? Okay. Let's try again. But just wanted to highlight, they had a, one of their members, I believe Coastline Consultants, come in and talk about how the holidays can be difficult. And, it's one of those items that I really appreciate the chamber. And I'm certainly, if anyone can reach out around services, supports, and members that do work around self-care during the holidays. Additionally, during the holiday season, we have Scott Hillier and the kind of dinner, the community supper is going to be going again, actually, and it's going to be mid-December on Wednesday. So the second week in December, they're going to have another takeout at the Church of the Good Shepherd. If at all you're interested, certainly reach out and we can get that information for you. They've put out just a little notice if anyone is in need. And this is not just a matter of and we talked about this a lot. This is not just a matter of a meal. For a lot of individuals that are perhaps sole in their homes, senior, maybe managing a disability, cooking a big, great meal like you would want to have during that time is extremely difficult. So sometimes it's just the nice to be able to have a part of a big warm supper to be able to eat, enjoy, and even be at the door. I remember most of all of our colleagues here have kind of experienced the program, that having a really just quick chat with someone at the door to say, hey, how are you? How you doing? And a little bit of gratitude goes a long way. And just to my colleague, Councillor Fry's points, this is Giving Tuesday. So if you're thinking about any matter that could be of use or passionate, things around mental health around the holidays, things around supporting individuals having a form of Christmas that they may not have been able to have otherwise, is a great consideration. And we have so many community groups across our city to really look at and to support and endeavor in that work. And I just wanted to bring light, because, it's November 29th, but it's a couple of weeks before Christmas. So if you do have an opportunity to think about those things and reach out to even a neighbor, or any of these programs mentioned, I think this is an excellent time. And it's mutually beneficial, believe it or not. It really is. So that's all I have for today.
Well said. It's the season of giving and charity. Councillor Antle.
Just be quick, Your Worship, a couple of things. First thing is this week, we lost a resident of Mount Pearl. We all know Mr. Starks. Charlie Starks was a long-time resident of Mount Pearl. He's 100 years old and a World War II vet. We all, after reading everything about Mr. Starks. I've known him most of my life. I think he lived in Mount Pearl, a nice guy. And maybe if we can send off a condolences letter to Mr. Starks and his family and pass on our sympathy. Yesterday I had the opportunity, and I think we all had the opportunity to work at the Salvation Army Christmas Carol, but just a quick reminder, they have the tap available. And a lot of people are asking that question and this kind of stuff, and it's very, very easy to use. So just to keep that in mind. Friday night, I attended the Miriam Bright concert for Alex Taylor. This is his third annual, and then, well, biannual, I guess he's going to do it again next year. But one of the things I must say is, he's only a young guy, but he's always trying to do small things for, for the community. And this time he picked a Janeway as a fundraiser, and he put all his efforts towards that, and he raised $700. So congratulations, Alex, for doing that.
Small things, but big impact.
It
Eh?
is, $700, it goes a long way. Just last week, myself and the mayor, I had an opportunity to attend the Rotary. The Northwest Rotary had their christened some bridges here in the city of Mount Pearl. Northwest Rotary do so much good work for the city, and if you're taking a chance, and you got a chance to take a walk, start down by Shadow Park, where the old Shadow Park Hotel, Mount Pearl. And the first bridge there is for our Honorable Neil Windsor. And Neil has done so much for the city of Mount Pearl. And, this is great. It's a nice memory for what he has done so much. And one of the comments when we were there, his wife Anne was talking about, the things that Neil was doing, Neil had done for the city of Mount Pearl. But it was kind of when she said to me, she said one thing that Neil wondered at the time, would people remember what Neil Windsor did? And I said to her, he certainly will be remembered. He done so many good things for the city of Mount Pearl. He won't be forgotten. And when you walk a little bit further up, there was another bridge there, and that was done for Sandy Newhook. And Sandy did so much for the Rotary and for the river. I mean, you can take a look at the things that's been done so much for the river. And these guys are really helping out. I mean, as you said, with the foresight that we had previous council with climate change and the things with the glacier and say these things help the Rotary, help the river, and we're the beneficiaries of everything. And that's everything for me, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn to Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much. Just a few things for me. So of course, now the holiday season is among us. And this Saturday, we have our Santa Claus parade happening starting at 10 a.m. It'll begin at Mount Pearl Senior High School, and it will go down Ruth Avenue and Park Avenue as well. And just a reminder for folks, in the spirit of giving, if you could bring a non-perishable food item or a donation for the food bank, that would be greatly appreciated. And I have heard from a couple of the food banks, and they have been getting a lot of donations of unfortunately expired goods. So if we could all, I know mistakes happen. Sometimes we just take it and throw it in a bag, but unfortunately, if it's expired, then they're not going to be able to use that. So just to keep in mind. We also have this Saturday our lighting up of St. David's Park, and there'll be hot chocolate and local music as well. So that's another great event we have this weekend. We have a very busy weekend ahead of us. There's also a holiday market at Admiralty House Museum that's happening November 30th and December 1st from 6:30 to 9:30. So if you haven't begun Christmas shopping or you're looking to finish, well, it's a great way to get some nice handcrafted goods and support local. And just one more thing for me, the Mount Pearl Public Library has their annual book sale that started today. So there's books for everyone from infants to adults, and all proceeds of those books will be used to support the library program. And the library has so many great programs, from crafts and story time and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Lane, and everybody else. We have to conduct the business of the city when we enter this chamber, but it's nice to hear the survey that's done every 2 weeks about our community. And I want to say again, in the spirit of, the hard work of our staff, thank you very much for not only making this city operate well, but also making it quite the community. And as a token of that, an example of that, I should say, Director Dollamont, I believe the elves have been busy in our Public Works Department putting together a Christmas float. Any ideas or any final comments to add to that? Ho, ho, ho.
Really don't want to add anything, but you'll have to wait and see, I guess, for Saturday. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful float.
Well, thank everybody for a job well done, and we look forward to seeing that float, ideally with the weather this coming Saturday. Do I see a hand going up? Councillor Antle. Sunday, isn't it? It's Sunday. The Lions Club runs the parade, and I think it's a Sunday, the next day. I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Counselor Fry, and seconded by the Deputy Mayor. We are adjourned. Cheers.